Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story, hidden secrets, and surprising value of the 1965 Washington $quarter coin from the United States of America. Let's begin by traveling back in time to understand why the year 1965 is so significant in American coin history. The early 1960s were a period of massive change. The United States Mint faced a nationwide coin shortage, and silver prices were soaring. Because quarters, dimes, and half dollars were made of 90% silver up until 1964, people started hoarding coins, thinking that the metal inside would soon be worth more than the coin's face value. This led to empty cash registers, banks running low on coins, and panic among everyday citizens. The U.S. Treasury needed a quick solution to stop the hoarding and restore circulation. That's when the decision was made. Starting in 1965, silver would be removed from dimes and quarters. Instead of 90% silver, these coins would be made with a copper-nickel clad composition. This change completely transformed American coinage forever. The 1965 Washington quarter became the first regular-issue quarter of this new, modern era, a symbol of progress and practicality. Interestingly, no quarters were supposed to bear a mint mark that year. Whether they were struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, all 1965 quarters looked the same, plain, with no letter to show where they came from. The reason was simple: the U.S. Mint wanted to discourage collectors from hoarding coins from specific mints. By removing the mint marks, they hoped to keep coins in circulation rather than in private collections. But of course, collectors being collectors, that decision only added to the intrigue surrounding these coins. The Washington quarter itself had already been around since 1932. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it features a left-facing portrait of George Washington on the obverse, with the word "Liberty" above and the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left. The reverse design proudly displays the American bald eagle, wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, a timeless symbol of strength and peace. Even though millions of 1965 quarters were struck, this specific coin marks a turning point between the silver era and the modern clad coinage that still exists today. Now, here's where things get fascinating. While the 1965 Washington quarter was intended to be made only from the new copper-nickel clad composition, a few mysterious examples were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, the same silver blanks used for 1964 quarters. This was an error caused by the transition from silver to clad coinage. Some of these leftover silver blanks found their way into the presses in early 1965 before the mint realized what had happened. These accidental silver 1965 quarters are now among the rarest and most valuable coins in American history. They look almost identical to regular clad quarters at first glance, but they have distinct characteristics. For instance, a genuine silver 1965 quarter weighs about 6.25 grams, while a regular clad one weighs around 5.67 grams. Silver quarters also have a distinct ring when dropped on a hard surface, and their edges lack the copper-colored strip you can see on most modern quarters. If you happen to find one of these silver transitional era quarters in your collection or even in your pocket change, you could be holding a coin worth thousands of dollars. That's right, something that once bought a few minutes on a payphone could now buy you an entire vacation or more. Collectors actively seek these pieces because they bridge two important eras of U.S. coinage history, the Silver Age and the modern era. But the 1965 Washington quarter isn't just about the silver transition. It's also a coin with incredible stories tied to different die varieties, striking errors, and minting quirks. Some examples show double dies, where parts of the design appear duplicated or blurry due to slight misalignments during the minting process. Others have off-center strikes, broad strikes, or missing clad layers, all of which can significantly increase their value. Another fascinating feature of the 1965 quarter lies in the small details that collectors obsess over. Some have what's called strong hub doubling, where letters like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" show noticeable doubling under magnification. These varieties make the coin even more collectible and can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition and clarity. Let's talk about condition for a moment, because this is one of the most important factors in determining value. The majority of 1965 quarters found today are heavily circulated. After all, This coin was mass-produced to meet the country's demand for change during the coin shortage. However, those few examples that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS67 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, are worth far more than just 25 cents. High-grade specimens with sharp details, bright luster, and know-where marks are rare, and collectors pay significant premiums for them. Even regular copper-nickel 1965 quarters in top condition can sell for hundreds of dollars. When you combine pristine condition with a rare minting error, such as being struck on a silver planchet, you enter the territory of serious money. Now imagine this: you're sorting through an old coin jar at home, maybe coins your grandparents kept for years, and you find a 1965 quarter that looks just a little different. Maybe it feels heavier, shines differently, or lacks that copper edge. You take it to a coin shop, and the dealer carefully places it on a scale. The weight reads 6.25 grams. He looks up at you with wide eyes. You may have just discovered one of the rarest modern quarters ever made. These are the kinds of discoveries that keep coin collectors searching, and they're not just fantasy. Real stories of people finding valuable 1965 quarters in circulation or inherited collections are out there. One such coin shocked the numismatic world when it appeared at auction, verified as a 1965 Washington quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet. It sold for an incredible amount, turning an ordinary-looking coin into a small fortune. The moral of the story? Never underestimate the change in your pocket. Coins like the 1965 Washington quarter remind us that history is literally circulating all around us. These coins connect us to a time when the U.S. Mint was grappling with major economic and material challenges, and every decision they made shaped the coins we use today. Even though billions of 1965 quarters were produced, the rare errors and special varieties have made this coin one of the most talked about in American numismatics. For collectors, it's not just about the money, it's about owning a piece of American history, a coin that tells a story of transition, innovation, and accidental rarity. So, how can you check if your 1965 quarter might be valuable? Start by examining the coin's edge. If you see the copper core exposed, it's likely a regular clad coin. But if the edge appears uniformly silver, you might want to weigh it to confirm if it's one of the rare silver strikes. Using a digital scale that measures to the hundredth of a gram can help you determine whether you have a standard 5.67 gram clad coin or the heavier 6.25 gram silver one. It's also a great idea to use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to look for doubling, die cracks, or other unusual features. Any unique imperfection could add significant value. And of course, if you think you found something truly special, have it authenticated by a professional grading service. Their certification not only confirms the coin's authenticity but can also dramatically increase its resale value. When you really think about it, the 1965 Washington quarter represents more than just 25 cents. It's a coin that marks one of the most pivotal transitions in U.S. minting history. It tells the story of how America moved away from precious metal coinage to more practical materials, adapting to changing times while still maintaining its identity. And the fact that some of these coins have become immensely valuable makes the story even more exciting. Collectors around the world continue to seek the rare silver 1965 quarters and other exceptional varieties, making them highly desirable additions to any serious coin collection. Each coin carries the potential for discovery, the thrill of the unknown, and the possibility of unearthing a hidden treasure right in your own hands. We're diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1973 Washington quarter-dollar coin, how it was made, what makes it special, the hidden varieties, and most importantly, how one rare version of this coin shocked the numismatic world with a value reaching tens of thousands of dollars. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might find yourself checking your own change a little more closely. Let's begin with the story behind the Washington quarter itself. The design was first introduced in 1932, honoring the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. It replaced the standing Liberty quarter, and the new coin carried the profile of Washington designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Over the decades, the Washington quarter became a true American icon, a coin that passed through millions of hands every day, witnessing generations of history unfold. By 1973, the design of the quarter had already been in circulation for over 4 decades. The composition was no longer silver, as the U.S. Mint had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition starting in 1965. This change was due to the rising cost of silver, making it no longer practical to mint everyday coins with precious metal content. The 1973 Washington quarter, like those produced after 1965, consisted of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, creating a coin that was durable and bright, with a silvery appearance but without any real silver value. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. The 1973 Washington quarters were produced at 3 different U.S. Mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coins from Philadelphia carried no mint mark, while those from Denver were stamped with a small D mint mark, and the San Francisco coins bore an S. The San Francisco Mint primarily produced proof coins for collectors, known for their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. The Philadelphia Mint struck a total of around 346 million quarters in 1973, while the Denver Mint produced approximately 232 million. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint totaled just under 3 million, far fewer than the circulation strikes, making them more desirable to collectors today. However, despite these huge numbers, not all 1973 quarters are equal in value. Most of them, if found in circulated condition, are only worth their face value of 25 cents. But if you happen to find one in pristine, mint state condition, meaning it has no wear, strong luster, and sharp details, it can be worth several dollars or even hundreds depending on the grade. The real excitement, though, lies in the rare errors, varieties, and those few exceptional coins that survived in perfect condition. Collectors and grading experts from organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, carefully evaluate these coins based on a 70-point scale. A coin graded MS-60 is considered uncirculated, but an MS-67 or higher grade indicates near perfection. Only a handful of 1973 quarters ever achieved such high grades, and those coins command incredible premiums at auction point. One of the fascinating aspects of the 1973 Washington quarter is that it represents a transitional period in U.S. coinage. The bicentennial design was just around the corner, in 1976, when the Mint released a special dual-dated 1776 to 1976 quarter to celebrate America's 200th anniversary. Because of that, many people overlooked the 1973 quarter, thinking of it as a filler year. But that's exactly why collectors today love it. It bridges the classic design era with the upcoming commemorative designs. Now, let's talk about mint marks and what makes some 1973 quarters so much more special. The Denver Mint coins, marked with a D, are particularly sought after in high grades. Many of them were heavily circulated, which means finding one in mint condition is very difficult. The S mint mark proof coins from San Francisco, on the other hand, were not meant for circulation, but a few still found their way into everyday use, and spotting one of those in your change would be a real treasure. Some collectors have also reported rare minting errors in 1973 quarters. These include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchet type. For example, a quarter struck on a nickel or penny planchet by mistake. Such errors are rare, but they can make the value skyrocket depending on how unique and visible the mistake is. One of the most famous examples is a 1973 quarter that was struck on a 5-cent nickel planchet. Because of the smaller size and different metal composition, the coin looked unusual and immediately drew attention. When one of these rare mint errors appeared at auction, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. After a bidding war among passionate numismatists, this rare 1973 error quarter fetched thousands of dollars, proof that minting errors can transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. To truly understand the allure of the 1973 Washington quarter, you have to appreciate the artistry of its design. On the obverse side, George Washington's portrait faces left, his image strong and noble, symbolizing the enduring spirit of the nation. The inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," surround him, along with the date 1973 at the bottom. The reverse side features the majestic bald eagle, wings outstretched, perched upon a bundle of arrows, a design representing both peace and readiness for defense. Above the eagle reads, United States of America, and below it, $quarter. It's a design rich with symbolism and history, connecting each coin to America's legacy of freedom and strength. For collectors, owning a pristine 1973 quarter isn't just about its monetary value, it's about holding a small piece of history, a tangible artifact from an era of great transition. Every coin tells a story, where it was minted, how it was used, and how it managed to survive in such excellent condition through decades of circulation. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked away in an old jar, resting quietly for 50 years, its luster still gleaming like the day it left the mint. That's the magic of coin collecting. You never know when history might show up in your pocket. Over the years, auctions have revealed some astonishing sales of 1973 Washington quarters. While most remain affordable collector's items, a select few coins with exceptional qualities have shocked the numismatic community. Coins with flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strikes, and deep, frosted contrast between design and background have reached jaw-dropping prices at professional auctions. For instance, a high-grade 1973 D Washington quarter once sold for over $10,000 due to its perfect mint state preservation and stunning luster. And then there was the star of the show, the coin that made history among collectors, a 1973 Washington quarter with immaculate condition, graded near perfect, and bearing an exceptional strike and mirror finish. When it went under the hammer, bidding escalated rapidly. Collectors from around the world competed, recognizing that this coin represented a once-in-a-generation discovery. When the final gavel came down, the crowd was stunned. The coin sold for a breathtaking amount, a record-breaking total of $44,265. Yes, that's right, $44,265 for a single 1973 $quarter coin. That astonishing sale forever cemented the 1973 quarter's place among the rare gems of modern U.S. coinage. It demonstrated that even coins from the post-silver era could achieve incredible value when condition, rarity, and demand aligned perfectly. Collectors today continue to search for high-grade examples of the 1973 Washington quarter, hoping to uncover the next record breaker. Whether it's a Denver Mint coin with exceptional detail, a San Francisco proof with deep cameo contrast, or a rare mint error that defies explanation, these coins carry real potential for value far beyond their face amount. So, if you're ever sorting through old coin rolls, checking your change, or exploring a family coin collection, keep your eyes open for that unassuming little coin with the date 1973. Look closely at the mint mark. Is it a D, S, or no mark at all? Examine the details, the luster, and the strike quality. Who knows? You might be holding a small treasure that could be worth thousands. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises. What looks ordinary to one person might be priceless to another. Each coin is a silent witness to history, to the hands it has passed through, to the time it has survived. And that's what makes the 1973 Washington quarter such a fascinating coin to study and collect. Stay with me until the end of this video, because you might just discover that an old quarter in your collection or even your pocket could be worth far more than you think. Let's dive deep into the fascinating history, design, composition, and extraordinary value of the 1974 Washington $quarter coin, including one that sold for a jaw-dropping price of $38,265. So, let's begin our journey back in time. The year was 1974, a period of change and uncertainty in the United States. The Vietnam War was coming to an end, President Richard Nixon was facing the infamous Watergate scandal, and inflation was rising across the country. Yet in the midst of this political and economic turmoil, the U.S. Mint continued its duty of producing millions of coins for circulation. Among them was the 1974 Washington quarter, a continuation of the long-running Washington quarter series that first began in 1932. The Washington quarter was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, this coin became an enduring symbol of American history and patriotism. The obverse, or front side, of the coin features the bust of George Washington, modeled after Jean-Antoine Houdon's famous sculpture. The word "Liberty" is boldly displayed above his head, while the motto, "In God We Trust," appears to his left, and the date, 1974, rests below his portrait. Now, take a look at the mint mark. This small letter is the key to identifying where the coin was produced. The 1974 Washington quarter was struck at 3 different U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a small D just right of Washington's ponytail; and San Francisco, marked with an S for proof coins. Each mint location produced coins with subtle variations, and those differences are what make some of them incredibly valuable today. The reverse, or back side, of the 1974 quarter, continues the same design used since 1932, an image of a majestic bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and defense, surrounded by olive branches representing peace. Above the eagle, you'll find the words, United States of America, and the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. The denomination, quarter dollar, appears below. As for its composition, the 1974 quarter was made from a copper-nickel-clad combination, a pure copper core sandwiched between layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This replaced the earlier 90% silver composition used before 1965, when the U.S. Mint transitioned away from silver coins due to rising silver prices. The total weight of the coin is 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a reeded edge, giving it that classic ridged feel familiar to anyone who's handled U.S. quarters. Now, you may be wondering, if millions of these coins were made, what makes a 1974 Washington quarter so special or valuable? The answer lies in the condition, minting errors, and collector demand. Let's start with the basics. In 1974, the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 801 million quarters, the Denver Mint produced around 353 million, and the San Francisco Mint created nearly 2.6 million proof coins. While those numbers seem huge, finding one today in pristine, untouched condition is extremely rare. Most coins entered circulation, got scratched, worn, or damaged over time, significantly reducing their value. Collectors often grade coins on a scale called the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, P1, to mint state, MS 70. A 1974 quarter in average circulated condition might only be worth its face value, 25 cents. But in uncirculated or proof condition, the story changes dramatically. A 1974 Washington quarter graded MS 67 or higher is incredibly hard to find. Coins in such perfect condition often have sharp details, a flawless surface, and bright luster. These are the coins that can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. However, what really drives up the price of certain 1974 quarters are minting errors, small mistakes that occurred during production at the U.S. Mint. These errors are often unintentional, but they make coins unique and highly collectible. One fascinating example is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is not properly aligned, resulting in a portion of the design being missing. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Another popular error is the double die obverse, where the letters or numbers appear to have been stamped twice, creating a shadow or doubling effect. Collectors love these coins because they capture a clear visual mistake from the minting process, turning a small error into a rare treasure. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a small section of the coin is missing due to an improper cut during blank production. Then there are die cracks, cuds, and even wrong planchet strikes, where a quarter was mistakenly struck on a dime or nickel planchet. Each of these errors adds an extra layer of rarity and intrigue to the coin's history. The 1974 S-proof quarters, minted specifically for collectors, are another story. These coins were not intended for circulation and were struck using specially polished dies on carefully prepared planchets. They have a mirror-like finish and exceptional detail. While many of these proof coins are common, a flawless deep cameo example graded PR70 can fetch an impressive sum on the collector's market. Now, let's talk about the specific cases where the 1974 Washington quarter has sold for extraordinary amounts. At several major coin auctions, certain high-grade or error 1974 quarters have stunned collectors. For instance, a 1974 D Washington quarter in impeccable mint state condition, with full details and perfect luster, sold for an incredible price of $38,265. This sale shocked the numismatic community, proving that even a relatively modern coin could hold immense value when rarity and condition align. Imagine finding one like that in your coin jar or an old collection. a small, shiny quarter that could change your life overnight. It's the dream of every coin collector and treasure hunter. So how can you tell if your 1974 quarter might be worth something special? Here are some important tips. First, inspect the mint mark. Quarters from Denver and San Francisco sometimes carry slightly different details, and certain die varieties are known to be more desirable. Use a magnifying glass to check the small d or s near Washington's ponytail. Second, examine the condition. If your coin has minimal scratches, a strong shine, and clear, crisp details, it might qualify as an uncirculated or mint state coin. Always handle coins by the edges to avoid adding fingerprints or oil. Third, look for errors. A doubled date, missing letters, off-center strike, or unusual metal composition can all make a coin far more valuable. If you think you have something special, consider getting your coin professionally graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading not only confirms authenticity but can significantly increase your coin's market value. Beyond the financial value, the 1974 Washington quarter holds great historical significance. It represents a period in American history when coinage design remained traditional, yet technology and minting precision were advancing. It's a symbol of the American spirit, strong, enduring, and reflective of the nation's growth through both triumph and turmoil. Collectors around the world seek these coins not only for their potential value but for the story they tell. Each quarter that passed through the hands of countless Americans, from cash registers to piggy banks to vending machines, carries a small piece of history. Today, coin collecting has become more popular than ever, with people rediscovering the beauty of everyday change. And who knows? The next valuable coin might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket or resting in an old drawer at home. So, if you come across a 1974 Washington quarter, take a moment to look closely. Study the mint mark, check the details, and think about the incredible journey that small piece of metal has taken over the decades. You might just find yourself holding a little piece of American history, and possibly a fortune in your hand. So, get ready, because in this video we're diving deep into the world of the 1979 Washington quarter dollar, uncovering its creation, its hidden errors, its collector's value, and the unbelievable price one of these coins has fetched. If you think your pocket change might not be worth much, think again. The next quarter you find might just be worth thousands of dollars. Let's start by going back in time. The Washington quarter has been a proud symbol of American coinage since 1932. It was first minted to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the founding father and first president of the United States. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin features a stunning portrait of Washington, looking noble and strong, with the inscriptions, "Liberty," above his head and, "In God We Trust," on the left side. Below his portrait sits the year of minting, in this case, 1979, a simple number that holds immense meaning for collectors today. On the reverse side, we see the majestic bald eagle, wings spread wide, standing proudly on a bundle of arrows, a design that symbolizes strength and readiness to defend the nation. Above the eagle are the words, "United States of America," and below it, quarter dollar. It's a powerful design that has represented American pride and resilience for decades. Now, 1979 was an interesting year for the Washington quarter. It marked a time when the U.S. Mint was fully producing coins in copper-nickel-clad composition, a shift that had begun in 1965 when silver was officially removed from circulating quarters. This means that the 1979 quarter is not made of silver but rather a blend of copper and nickel layers bonded together. The result is a coin that looks silver but has a copper core, a difference you can spot if you look closely at the edge of the coin, where you can see a faint copper color shining through. But what makes the 1979 Washington quarter so special today? Why are collectors around the world searching for it? The secret lies in the mint marks, variations, and the condition of these coins. The U.S. Mint struck 1979 quarters at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver bear a small D mark, and those from San Francisco show an S. Each mint produced millions of quarters that year, but the real treasures are the ones with unique errors, rare conditions, or perfect grades. Let's start with the Philadelphia Mint. The 1979 quarter from Philadelphia was produced in massive numbers, over 515 million coins in total. Most of these circulated heavily, showing signs of wear, scratches, and fading details over time. However, if you happen to find a Philadelphia 1979 quarter in pristine uncirculated condition, with no scratches and full mint luster, it could already be worth far more than its face value. The Denver Mint, marked with a D, also struck a large quantity of 1,979 quarters, more than 489 million. While most of these were used in daily transactions, a few coins came out with striking errors that make them incredibly valuable today. Some coins show double die obverse errors, meaning parts of the lettering or George Washington's features appear doubled, creating a unique visual effect. Others have off-center strikes, where the coin design is not perfectly centered. These rare minting mistakes, though unintentional, are precisely what make collectors pay huge premiums. Then we have the San Francisco Mint, home to the 1979 S-proof quarters. Proof coins are special. They're not meant for circulation but are struck with extra care and polished dies to achieve mirror-like finishes. They were sold to collectors in sets, often protected in cases. But even among proof coins, not all are created equal. Some 1979 S-proof quarters were struck with what collectors call Type 1 and Type 2 mint marks. The difference lies in the shape of the S. The Type 1 mint mark appears more blob-like, while the Type 2 S is clearer and sharper, making it rarer and more valuable. Now, let's talk about grading. The grade of a coin determines how perfect it is, and in the coin world, perfection means big money. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional services like PCGS and NGC. A coin with a grade of 70 is considered flawless under magnification, meaning it's as perfect as the day it left the mint. That a 1979 quarter graded MS67 or MS68, meaning it's in near perfect or perfect mint state, can command astonishing prices at auction. Collectors are willing to pay thousands for coins with pristine surfaces, sharp details, and strong luster, but here's where it gets even more exciting: the rare error varieties and proof coins can reach sky-high prices. For example, a 1979 S-Type 2 proof quarter in perfect condition has sold for huge sums. Similarly, certain 1979 D quarters with exceptional mint errors, like double strikes, missing clad layers, or die breaks, have shocked collectors and auction houses with their values. These coins tell a story far beyond their small size. They represent a moment in time, a blend of craftsmanship, history, and pure luck. Finding one in your pocket change or coin jar could mean you're holding something truly special. Now, when you hold a 1979 Washington quarter in your hand, take a moment to appreciate its details. The soft texture of George Washington's profile, the proud eagle on the back, the shimmer of light across its surface, all of these reflect the incredible history of American coinage. These coins have traveled through time, passing through countless hands, businesses, and moments in history. They've seen the world evolve, from payphones and jukeboxes to smartphones and streaming, and yet, despite being only worth 25 cents at the time of issue, some of these coins have turned into true treasures. Collectors around the world actively seek the 1979 quarters that have something unusual about them, a proof strike, an error, or simply a level of perfection few coins ever achieve. The combination of rarity and beauty gives this coin a special place in numismatic history. It's worth noting that the 1979 quarter doesn't contain silver, but that doesn't mean it's any less valuable. In fact, its rarity and minting variations make it one of the most interesting modern-era coins to collect. The thrill of finding a rare one among ordinary change is what keeps coin enthusiasts searching every day. Some of the most valuable 1979 quarters have sold in high-end auctions or private sales for unbelievable prices. The excitement comes from the chase, checking old jars, examining pocket change, searching through rolls of quarters, and finding that one in a million piece. Many collectors started this way, with just curiosity, and ended up discovering treasures worth more than they ever imagined. That if you have a 1979 quarter, here's what you should do. Look closely at both sides. Check the mint mark. Is it from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco? Inspect for any signs of doubling on the lettering or design. Look for off-center strikes, extra metal, or missing clad layers. If you think it might be special, it's worth having it appraised by a professional coin grading service. Even a minor error can make your coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and remember, condition is everything. If your coin has been kept safely and still shines with that original mint luster, it could be one of the lucky few that collectors dream of finding. The 1979 Washington quarter may seem common, but among the millions produced, a few carry the magic of rarity and perfection. These are the coins that tell a story of American artistry, minting precision, and the thrill of discovery. We're diving deep into the story of one of the most intriguing pieces ever struck by the United States Mint, the 1983 D Washington $quarter coin. This coin, minted in Denver, holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, not just for its design and symbolism but for the rare varieties and errors that have made some of them worth thousands of dollars today. So, grab your magnifying glass, because what looks like an ordinary coin might just be a hidden treasure in your pocket change. Let's begin our story by traveling back to the early 1980s, a time of transformation for American coinage. The 1983 D quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the main mints of the United States, and carries the small letter D beneath the eagle on the reverse side to show its origin. While millions of these coins were struck for circulation, not all quarters are created equal, and that's where the real excitement begins. The Washington Quarter series itself dates back to 1932, originally created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, whose portrait of Washington became an enduring symbol of American heritage. The obverse features the familiar profile of George Washington facing left, with the inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." On the reverse, the majestic bald eagle spreads its wings proudly, perched on a bundle of arrows symbolizing defense, with olive branches below representing peace. Every detail of this coin carries history, artistry, and symbolism that captures the American spirit. Now, the 1983 D Washington quarter stands out for several reasons. First, it was struck during a time when the U.S. Mint faced changes in production quality and coin composition. Since 1965, quarters were made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. This change was introduced after silver was removed from circulation coins. However, during the early 1980s, the Mint struggled with some striking inconsistencies, planchet issues, and die wear. This led to some fascinating mint errors that today make collectors' hearts race. One major factor that adds intrigue to the 1983 D quarter is that it was produced during a year when the U.S. Mint did not release mint sets for collectors. That's right, there were no official 1983 mint sets made available to the public. This meant that collectors couldn't easily get their hands on pristine, uncirculated examples straight from the mint. Most 1983 quarters entered circulation immediately, meaning finding one today in top condition, with brilliant luster and no wear, is very difficult. This scarcity of high-grade examples is one of the main reasons why the 1983 D quarter has become so valuable among coin enthusiasts. Over the decades, collectors have realized how challenging it is to locate a 1983 D quarter in mint state condition. The majority of these coins show signs of heavy wear from circulation, scratches, dings, and faded details. But those few that survived in immaculate, untouched condition, especially in grades like MS65 or higher, can command impressive prices at auction. The higher the grade, the higher the value climbs, but there's another layer of mystery: mint errors. Some of the most expensive 1983 D quarters are not just in great condition, they also have unique minting mistakes that make them truly one of a kind. Let's explore a few of the most famous ones. One of the most sought-after error varieties is the 1983 D Spitting Eagle quarter. This nickname comes from a small die crack that appears on the reverse side of the coin, connecting the eagle's beak to its neck, making it look as if the eagle is spitting. It's a striking visual anomaly that instantly catches the eye of collectors. Although it might seem like a minor defect, this small die crack can significantly boost a coin's value. Depending on its condition and the clarity of the crack, collectors have paid hundreds, even thousands, of dollars for a well-defined, Spitting Eagle 1983 D quarter. Another notable type of error involves off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die adjustment strikes. In an off-center strike, the coin is not properly aligned when struck by the dies, resulting in a portion of the design being missing or misaligned. The more dramatic the off-center, the higher the value, as long as the date and mint mark remain visible. Clipped planchets occur when the metal blank is cut incorrectly, leaving a crescent-shaped missing area on the edge. These minting mistakes create fascinating and unique pieces that tell stories of the minting process itself. Then there are double die errors, where the design appears to be duplicated or shadowed due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. While rare for the 1983 D quarter, any sign of doubling, especially on key elements like the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," can make a coin exponentially more valuable. Let's not forget toning, the natural discoloration that occurs over time due to exposure to air and moisture. Quarters that develop vibrant rainbow-like toning are especially prized by collectors for their unique appearance. The more visually appealing and symmetrical the toning, the more attention it draws in the numismatic market. A beautifully toned 1983 D quarter in mint state can sell for a surprising amount. Now, if you've ever held a 1983 D quarter in your hand, you might think it looks like any other quarter. But hidden within its copper-nickel layers could be a story worth far more than 25 cents. When professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC certify these coins, they often reveal just how rare high-quality examples truly are. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are incredibly scarce, and some have fetched jaw-dropping prices in auctions. Collectors often emphasize that the 1983 D quarter is part of a group of modern coins that have become unexpectedly valuable due to the combination of circulation wear, lack of mint sets, and striking errors. It's a perfect example of how even coins from recent decades, which many people overlook, can hold tremendous value if preserved in the right condition. Let's take a closer look at how to identify a potentially valuable 1983 D quarter. First, examine the obverse side under good lighting. Look for sharp details on George Washington's hair, cheek, and jawline. Any blurriness or flattening means it has circulated. On the reverse, we're diving deep into the history, design, value, and extraordinary facts about the 1989 P. Washington quarter, one of the fascinating coins that could turn a simple pocket change discovery into something worth thousands of dollars. So, sit back, relax, and let's take an exciting journey through the life of this quarter that represents both American history and unexpected fortune. The 1989 P. Washington quarter dollar was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historically significant mints in the United States. The P mint mark beneath the motto, "In God We Trust," on the obverse identifies it as coming from Philadelphia. This mint mark wasn't always present on earlier quarters, but by the 1980s, it became standard practice. During that year, the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters to meet the nation's growing demand for circulating coinage. However, despite such a massive mintage, not all 1989 P quarters were created equally. Some were made with errors or unique striking conditions that transformed ordinary coins into valuable collector's treasures. Let's take a moment to appreciate the design that makes the Washington quarter iconic. On the obverse side, we find the distinguished portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States. This classic design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, who first designed it in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. His artwork captures Washington's strength, dignity, and calm leadership, a fitting tribute to the man who helped shape the nation. On the reverse, you'll see a bold, majestic bald eagle, wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, a symbol of America's readiness to defend freedom and peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, "United States of America," with "E pluribus unum" and "quarter dollar" below. The design reflects both patriotism and artistry, qualities that made the Washington quarter one of the most beloved coins in American history. Now, the year 1989 may not seem too distant in the grand scope of numismatic history, but what makes this coin fascinating is how a seemingly common coin from the late 20th century can hold incredible value due to its condition, strike quality, and minting anomalies. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million of these quarters, yet the key to value lies in the details. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance could, under magnification, reveal an error or variation that turns it into a true collector's gem. One of the most talked about aspects of the 1989 P. Washington quarter is the potential for minting errors. Errors occur when something unexpected happens during the coin production process, like misaligned dies, double strikes, or planchet flaws. Collectors and coin experts constantly hunt for these mistakes because they make each error coin unique. For example, a 1989 P quarter with a double die obverse, where the lettering or date appears doubled, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on clarity and rarity. Another example is off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't properly aligned during striking. The more off-center the strike, the rarer the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark are still visible. Some 1989 P quarters also show die cracks or cuts, small raised areas caused by breaks in the die itself. Each of these unusual features increases the collectible appeal of the coin dramatically. Beyond errors, condition plays a major role in determining the value of any 1989 P quarter. Coins that have been in circulation for decades typically show signs of wear, scratches, faded details, or discoloration. However, coins that were never used, known as uncirculated or mint state coins, can be incredibly valuable. Grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins using a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. A 1989 P quarter graded at MS 68 or higher can be extremely rare and desirable. Such high-grade coins are often discovered in original mint sets, where they were preserved from wear and tear. Some collectors have found pristine 1989 P quarters that exhibit brilliant luster, sharp details, and no visible flaws, making them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the collector's market. Another interesting point to remember is the historical context of the 1989 quarter. By that year, the United States Mint was using copper-nickel clad compositions instead of the earlier 90% silver used in quarters before 1965. The composition for the 1989 P quarter was a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel, giving it the familiar silvery color. However, this change also means that any 1989 P quarter found struck on a silver planchet, an error that occasionally happened, could be worth a small fortune. In the 1980s, the mint continued to refine its technology, yet even with improved machinery, small mistakes slipped through. One of the rarest and most sought-after error types for this coin is the wrong planchet strike, when a quarter design was accidentally struck on a nickel, dime, or foreign coin blank. Such errors are extremely scarce and command incredible prices among collectors. Collectors also appreciate the 1989 P. Washington quarter for its role in bridging eras of American coin design. It was part of the final decade of the traditional eagle reverse before the state quarters program began in 1999. That means the 1989 P quarter represents the last years of the classic Washington eagle design before the mint transitioned to state-specific themes. Many collectors focus on these late 1980s issues because they represent the end of an era. In terms of real-world finds, some lucky individuals have discovered valuable 1989 P quarters right in their pocket change, proving that treasures can still be hiding in everyday coins. Others find them in coin rolls purchased from banks or inherited collections. For those who collect coins, examining every 1989 quarter carefully with a magnifying glass or loupe can reveal hidden gems, a small doubling in the date, an unusual rim, or an error in the lettering that sets it apart from ordinary examples. The joy of coin collecting is that it combines history, art, and mystery all in one. Each coin carries a story, from the mint workers who struck it, to the hands that passed it along, to the collectors who cherish it decades later. The 1989 P. Washington quarter is not just a piece of metal, it's a miniature time capsule from an era when coins still held great cultural and everyday value. Let's not forget about proof coins from that same year. Although Philadelphia did not produce proof coins in 1989, the San Francisco Mint did issue mirror-like proofs with sharp, frosted details. However, since we're focusing on the P mint mark, collectors still find excitement in Philadelphia's standard circulation strikes, especially those that survived the years in pristine condition. If you're curious about identifying whether your 1989 P quarter might be valuable, here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark, make sure it has the letter P just above the date. Then, examine the surfaces under good lighting. Does the coin have a bright luster, or has it been worn down? Next, look closely at the date and lettering for signs of doubling or distortion. Finally, inspect the edges and reverse for anything unusual, like extra metal, missing details, or die breaks. If you notice any of these characteristics, it might be time to have your coin graded by a professional service. Even though most 1989p Washington quarters are worth only their face value of 25 cents, a few have shocked collectors and auction houses by fetching incredible sums due to their exceptional condition or unique error types. Coins with deep mirror surfaces, strong strikes, and flawless finishes have commanded thousands of dollars in auctions and private sales. Coin experts often say that every great collection begins with curiosity, and the 1989p quarter embodies that spirit perfectly. What seems like an ordinary coin could, with a closer look, turn out to be a hidden treasure. That's the magic of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, the beauty of detail, and the connection to American history that lies in every single coin. We are going to take a fascinating journey through the story, design, and collector's value of this amazing coin, the 1990D Mint Mark Washington Quarter Dollar. Stay with us until the end, because we'll reveal just how much one of these coins can be worth, and you'll be shocked when you hear the final number. Let's start our story back in the early 1990s, a time when the United States Mint was in full swing producing billions of circulating coins for the booming economy. The 1990D Washington Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major U.S. mint facilities known for producing high-quality coins with the distinctive D Mint mark. Denver has a long and proud history in American coinage, and in 1990, it struck hundreds of millions of Washington quarters to meet circulation demand across the western and southern United States. But before diving into the value and collector interest of this coin, let's look back at the origins of the Washington quarter itself. This coin series began in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The coin was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, whose depiction of Washington's left-facing bust became one of the most recognizable portraits in U.S. coinage history. The obverse, or front side, of the coin features the famous profile of George Washington with the inscriptions, "Liberty," above his head and, "In God We Trust," to the left. Below his neck appears the date, 1990, and on the right side, just above the date, you can find the D Mint mark, identifying it as a Denver Mint strike. On the reverse, the design showcases an impressive eagle with its wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows, a symbol of America's strength and readiness to defend its freedom. Surrounding the eagle are two olive branches, representing peace, and the inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and "Quarter Dollar." This design, classic and timeless, remained on the coin until 1998 when the Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program. Now, what makes the 1990D quarter stand out among the millions of quarters produced that year? The first and most obvious factor is condition. Most of these coins entered circulation and endured years of wear, making high-grade, pristine examples quite rare. Coins that have been preserved in mint state condition, meaning they show no signs of wear, are the ones that truly catch collectors' attention. When evaluating the value of a 1990D quarter, the grading system used by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, plays a major role. This grading scale ranges from 1, poor, to 70, perfect mint state. A circulated 1990D quarter, one that has been used in everyday transactions, is usually worth only its face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated coins with sharp details, no scratches, and brilliant luster can command premium prices. In grades like MS 65 or higher, these coins start becoming valuable to collectors who seek examples that look exactly as they did the moment they were struck. MS stands for mint state, and it indicates a coin that has not been circulated. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes. A 1990D Washington quarter graded MS 67 or higher is extremely difficult to find, and these are the coins that can reach remarkable prices at auction. Beyond condition, there are also certain varieties and minting errors that add to the appeal of the 1990D quarter. Coin errors occur during the minting process and can make a coin one of a kind. Collectors love error coins because they show the human and mechanical imperfections of coin production. Some known varieties for the 1990D Washington quarter include off-center strikes, double dies, and missing clad layers. A double die error, for example, happens when the coin's design is impressed twice at slightly different angles, causing doubling in certain letters or numbers. These coins often display doubling on the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," and are highly desirable among collectors. Similarly, coins missing part of their outer nickel-copper layer, exposing the copper core beneath, can also be worth a significant premium. One of the reasons collectors are drawn to coins like the 1990D Washington quarter is their blend of modern history and artistic design. The Washington quarter bridges two important eras, the early 20th century design tradition and the late modern era just before the new statehood designs took over. It represents the final chapter of the classic eagle reverse before the mint transitioned to the state quarters program, which revolutionized coin collecting in America. Many people who grew up in the 1990s may even have nostalgic memories of these coins, jingling in their pockets, used in pay phones, vending machines, or saved in coin jars at home. That nostalgic connection adds emotional value to an already historic piece. Now, let's talk about how collectors determine what makes one 1990D quarter more valuable than another. The first key element is luster, that brilliant shine that comes from the metal's original minting process. A coin with strong, original luster reflects light evenly and appears vibrant. The second element is strike, how clearly and sharply the design details appear. A well-struck coin shows crisp feathers on the eagle and distinct strands of hair on Washington's portrait. Third, collectors look for the coin's overall eye appeal. Even minor toning, if beautiful, can enhance its desirability. For investors and coin enthusiasts, finding a high-grade 1990D quarter in mint condition can be like striking gold. Coin auctions and grading services have recorded impressive results for such coins. While the vast majority of 1990D quarters are worth only face value, those few that are flawless, free of scratches or bag marks, and preserved in mint condition can fetch remarkable sums. Let's imagine holding one of these coins, a shining, untouched piece that's been carefully preserved for over 3 decades. Every small detail, from Washington's sharp profile to the fine feathers of the eagle, gleams perfectly under the light. This is the kind of coin that collectors and investors seek out, knowing that it represents not just money, but American history preserved in metal. It's also important to note that market demand for coins like the 1990D quarter fluctuates over time. As interest in Washington quarters grows and more people begin collecting them, prices for top-quality specimens have steadily risen. This trend has continued as younger generations discover the hobby and older collectors seek to complete their sets. Additionally, many 1990D quarters were struck in such massive numbers that finding one in ordinary condition is easy. However, the challenge, and the value, lies in finding those that escape the wear and tear of circulation. Mint sets issued by the U.S. Mint in 1990 included uncirculated examples of the Denver quarter, and these are the primary sources for collectors today. If you ever come across an original mint set from that year, it's worth taking a close look. There could be a gem-quality coin waiting inside. For anyone wondering how to identify and preserve valuable quarters like this, the key is careful handling and proper storage. Avoid touching the surfaces with your bare hands, as the oils from your skin can damage the coin's finish over time. Store coins in acid-free holders or plastic capsules to protect them from air, moisture, and scratches. Now let's move to the exciting part, the value that makes this coin such a hidden treasure. While an average circulated 1990D Washington quarter is worth just 25 cents, a gem-quality example graded MS-67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can be worth an impressive amount. These top-grade examples are extremely rare, and collectors compete fiercely for them at major coin auctions. There have been reports of 1990D Washington quarters in perfect condition selling for significant amounts, driven by collector demand and the beauty of their preservation. High-quality examples with a brilliant strike, full luster, and no contact marks can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the market conditions. Today, we're talking about one of the most intriguing and often overlooked coins in modern American numismatics, the 1995 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. This coin, though common at first glance, has hidden varieties, minting errors, and fascinating details that make it a true gem among collectors. So, get comfortable and stay tuned, because what may seem like just another piece of change could actually be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. Let's start our journey back in time to the year 1995. The mid-1990s were an interesting period for American coinage. It was a time right before the massive transformation of the U.S. quarter in 1999, when the famous state quarters program began. Before that series started, the Washington quarter design had already been in circulation for over 60 years, featuring the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by the sculptor John Flanagan. The reverse still displayed the proud bald eagle, wings outstretched, clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of both America's strength and peace. The 1995 P Washington quarter came out of the Philadelphia Mint, marked with the letter P just above the date on the obverse side. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these quarters that year, and at first glance, they might not seem rare. However, coin collectors and treasure hunters know that within those countless coins, there are always a few that stand out due to minting errors, condition, or small variations that can make them incredibly valuable. To truly understand the value of the 1995 P Washington quarter, we must first explore what makes a coin valuable in the first place. Factors such as rarity, demand, condition, and any unique characteristics all play an important role. A coin's grade, determined by the Sheldon scale, which ranges from poor condition to mint state perfection, can drastically change its worth. For example, a worn-out 1995 P quarter that's been in circulation for decades might only be worth its face value of 25 cents. But a pristine example, preserved in near-perfect condition with sharp details and shiny luster, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, when we look closely at the 1995 P Washington quarter, collectors have identified a few key varieties and potential error types that make some of them stand out. Some coins display double die errors, especially on the obverse side, where the lettering of Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date might show faint doubling under magnification. These double die varieties occur when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during production, creating a second, overlapping image. For a keen-eyed collector, this can be a jackpot discovery. Another interesting aspect is the coin's condition. High-grade examples, especially those graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS68 or higher, are incredibly difficult to find. These are coins that show virtually no signs of wear, have perfect strike details, and retain their original mint luster. Out of the millions produced, only a handful achieve this level of perfection, and that scarcity drives their value sky high. Let's also not forget about the proof coins of 1995, which were struck specifically for collectors at the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark. While the 1995 P coin is not a proof coin, it still benefits from comparison to these special issues, because some collectors seek to complete full mint sets for every year and mint mark, which increases the demand for flawless Philadelphia Mint examples. When it comes to errors, some of the most valuable 1995 P quarters are those struck slightly off-center or with broad strikes, where the coin's edges are not properly formed. There are also instances of missing clad layers, a condition where part of the coin's nickel coating is missing, exposing the copper core underneath. These errors are not only visually striking but also highly desirable to collectors who specialize in mint mistakes, but perhaps the most exciting part of the story is how some of these coins have actually sold at auction. Coin collectors are always watching for high-grade or unique error examples to appear on the market. There have been recorded instances of pristine 1995 P Washington quarters selling for several $1,000s, especially when graded in mint state condition with eye-catching luster. Imagine this: you open an old coin jar, check your pocket change, or dig through a roll of quarters from the bank, and among the ordinary coins, you spot a shining 1995 P quarter that looks a little too perfect. No scratches, no wear, just that crisp detail of Washington's profile and an eagle that gleams like it was struck yesterday. If that coin happens to be graded at the highest levels by a professional grading service, its value could surprise you beyond belief. collectors often say that coins like the 1995 P quarter serve as a bridge between the classic Washington quarters and the modern state quarter series that began in 1999. It represents the end of an era, the last few years of the traditional eagle reverse before the country's coinage took a new creative direction. That sense of nostalgia also adds to the coin's charm and desirability. It's also worth noting that by 1995, the Philadelphia Mint had greatly improved its production quality, which makes true mint errors rarer than in earlier decades. This means that when you do find a legitimate error from this year, it's even more special. When evaluating your 1995 P Washington quarter, it's important to inspect every detail carefully. Check the rim, the lettering, the mint mark, and even the texture of the surface. Lighting can make a huge difference, so using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe under bright light can help you spot doubling or other minting anomalies. Coins that have been well preserved in protective holders or rolls for years stand a much better chance of retaining their original shine. Collectors prefer uncirculated examples, especially those with full strike details where every feather on the eagle's wings is sharp and visible. Another key factor that affects value is toning. Some 1995 P quarters have developed natural toning, that is, beautiful hues of gold, blue, or purple on the surface caused by oxidation over time. Far from being damage, this natural coloration can actually increase a coin's visual appeal and value if it's even and aesthetically pleasing. As the years pass, coins like the 1995 P quarter continue to gain collector interest. Younger collectors who grew up seeing these coins in circulation are now realizing how special some of them truly are. And as the number of pristine examples in existence decreases, the demand for high-grade coins grows stronger. Think of it this way: when these coins were minted in 1995, there was no way to know which ones would survive decades without being scratched, dented, or worn down. But today, those rare survivors in flawless condition are prized treasures in the numismatic world. It's amazing how something as small as a 25-cent piece can hold such historical and monetary value. Coins are living artifacts, tiny metallic witnesses to our nation's past. The 1995 P Washington quarter tells a story of American craftsmanship, the evolution of minting technology, and the enduring fascination people have with collecting pieces of history. So the next time you're handed change at a store or you open your coin jar at home, take a closer look at your quarters. You might be holding one of these 1995 P Mint Mark Washington quarters without realizing its true potential. Flip it over, examine its edges, and pay attention to how it feels and shines. Because in the world of coins, it only takes one extraordinary find to change everything. Collectors around the world continue to seek these coins, submitting them to grading companies in hopes of discovering one that stands out from the rest. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or simply an immaculate mint state example, each coin has the potential to capture attention and command an impressive price. And even if your coin doesn't turn out to be one of the ultra-rare varieties, it's still part of a rich heritage that connects millions of Americans to their history through everyday pocket change. Every coin tells a story, of art, of economy, of time, and that's what makes coin collecting such a fascinating hobby. So, keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass handy, and your curiosity alive. You never know when that small silver-colored coin in your palm might be more than just 25 cents, it could be a hidden treasure waiting to reveal its worth. And now, for the part you've all been waiting for, the incredible current market value. Among all the recorded sales and collectors' findings, the most exceptional 1995 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, in pristine mint state condition and highly sought after by numismatists, has reached an astonishing price of $14,265.